At every conference I can remember since I joined the diamond industry, I heard the same message from mining companies or analysts, which is there are no more new mines coming online, but demand is set to grow. I'm going to invite Des Kilalea from the Royal Bank of Canada to actually examine this in a bit more detail and talk about the implications for our market. Des brings with him 20 years experience in analyzing the diamond sector. Des, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anish. Thank you, the organizers, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen. My job is really to try and paint for you a picture of what the physical supply might look like. And to start with, I want to take you through, we all think this is a big and wonderful industry. Indeed it is, but it's small. If you have a look at the value of production, it's about 11 billion. 3.4 trillion is the oil business. The reason I mention this is it has important implications in who's going to get involved in this industry to look for more mines. It's not a big business. It's not like copper. It's not like iron ore. Just keep that in mind. It is important. Production is also concentrated not only geographically, but by company. Geographically, you've got Botswana, Russia, Canada, South Africa dominating the production scenario. There are others, but these are the bedrock on which this industry has grown. And if you look at the bottom chart, the blue chart, which I borrowed from Alrosa, 4 producers really are the industry. That's also important because you've got 4 producers in what is essentially a fairly small business. Now, this is really the same thing in more pictures. Again, some of the statistics to show you what the big companies are doing. And finally, to have a look at the geography of some of these mines. They're remote. The one at the bottom is perhaps one of the most impressive. Part of it is under a lake in the Northwest Territories of Canada. Now, demand is pretty good. We all know, we've heard the China story. I don't need to tell you. China, India. China grew 25% in terms of jewelry sales last year. India was 31%. China and India, I think we heard one of the previous speakers talking about whether China will have a bigger, no, it was the Honorable Minister, China will have a bigger economy perhaps than the US in not too many years. So it does look like the demand pattern is assured. Again, looking at this, the bottom bar chart really is the one to look at. And that really shows how China's jewelry demand has grown. Really powerful numbers coming through here as China starts adapting the diamond culture, particularly the diamond jewelry, diamond engagement ring culture. This is a chart that I've borrowed from Rio Tinto. I think it's a really instructive chart. It looks busy. What it is the saturation level of demand for different commodities. Along the x-axis or horizontal axis is GDP per capita. So as you get rich, what do you demand more of? Initially, it's iron ore, copper, because that's infrastructure. And then as you get richer, what are you going to buy? Maybe you're going to buy aluminium, more food packaging, or maybe you're going to buy more magazines and plastics and tiles for your walls. That's mineral sands. And finally, you've got diamonds. And the reason this chart is interesting, and it should be interesting to people in this room, is that this tells you about the longevity of the demand for your product. A lot of people out there haven't even got around to buying diamond jewelry. This is the Japanese diamond engagement ring picture from De Beers. A little bit dated. The important point is, look at how it grew. Look at how the percentage of women getting diamond engagement rings grew, and even when the Japanese economy fell into crisis, look at how diamond engagement demand was sustained. Same picture in China. Again, De Beers data, a little bit old, but what it shows you as you move from the left-hand side of the chart to the right, more women are getting diamond engagement rings. That's really important. The law of large numbers says you just need a small percentage of that Chinese market and you've got a big market. Sure, as we've heard earlier, some of that demand will be destroyed by price and substitution. Now, this is our forecast of production. I just refer you to the kind of Technicolor chart on the bottom right. What we've done is we've taken all production that we know of, and we've built our forecast on that basis. Alrosa will give you a similar picture. Rio, De Beers, BHP, all give you a similar picture. What it shows is, at best, no growth. Bottom chart again, borrowed from Rio Tinto, was published last week on the Rio website. That's Rio's view of production, the pale blue, no growth. Alrosa has a very similar chart on its own website. Now, why is that happening? Well, they're really hard to find. The bottom right-hand chart is the number of kimberlites, that's the primary ore source, and you'll see of plus 5,000, less than 1% became mines. And even if you find a kimberlite in your back garden tomorrow, it's going to take you somewhere between 10 and 20 years to turn it into a mine. And that's partly because they are low-grade ore bodies. That huge truck is a 250-ton truck in the Arapa mine. There are no more than 150 carats in that truck. So it tells you they're not easy to find. And I just point out the quote at the top from Marius Kloppers, who's the CEO of BHP Billiton. There's not much of a return from the drill bit in this business. In other words, you spend an awful lot of money and you don't find an awful lot. People are looking under the sea. The mines are getting older. Cullinan mine is 100 years. Koffiefontein, they're all getting older. Mines don't last forever. There are a few mines coming on. I won't go through them all, but just to show you there are some fruits from exploration. Gachakwe perhaps is one of the more interesting. Renard. AK6, you heard the Honourable Minister talk about AK6, is BK11. He talked about Sabong. It's under an awful lot of Kalahari sand. It needs a lot of work, costs a lot of money. So we have an industry that's small, costs a lot of money to find things. It's got a wonderful demand outlook. And because it's small and it costs so much, not a lot of people can afford to do what's needed to find these diamonds. So you are facing a situation where the supply of rough is going to be at best tight. Even with demand being killed by price substitution, it's an industry that has, from a producer point of view, a pretty nice outlook. There are not too many. So what does it mean to people in the audience who might have to buy these rough stones? Well, the big producers they differ in the way they sell their goods. Probably not an awful lot will change in that respect. But there are a lot of changes. You're seeing a lot more companies, for example, Gem Diamonds, moving down the beneficiation route. They're saying, well, if these things are in short supply, why don't we partner with somebody? So that's something you have to think about. You're getting a lot more national pride. Botswana now has sites. Botswana soon will probably have the aggregation. So you're going to have to travel different places to get your diamonds. Smaller producers are looking at different methods. Retailers are getting in directly. Example, Tiffany with the Ellendale mine, and there's certain others. Tiffany's with Namakwa Diamonds as well. So the implication for buyers is that rough will become more scarce, no question about that. If people buy the diamond dream, which we've no reason to believe they won't, rough will be tight. So you're going to have to pay the price. Now, the price might mean substitution, the price might mean thrifting, but basically, we're in a market where shortage of supply, firm prices will be the order of the day. But let me leave you with this. Prices don't always go up. And I think it's a message that came through from perhaps some of the diamond bankers. Buying because prices always go up can cause trouble. The bottom right chart is De Beers price index. There have been some pretty dramatic falls. So although we're in a nice rising trend, there will be situations where consumer demand falls, where lumpy supply comes on, where price will come back. It's not a one-way ticket, but it's still a pretty good ticket to have, particularly if you're a miner. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Des. Thank you. Thanks for clawing back time.